Feldco Football Recap Live is brought to you by Feldco. For quality windows, siding, and doors, call 866-4FELDCO, Chicago's home renewal experts. Your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealers, the official truck partner of the Chicago Bears. Hooters. At Hooters, originality isn't just one thing, it's everything. World-famous wings and more, served up by the iconic Hooters girl. Hooters, always original. Dr. Pepper, an American original, just like our Chicago Bears. Grab an ice-cold, refreshing Dr. Pepper today at a McDonald's near you. Special Olympics Illinois. Special Olympics Illinois, so I did. Learn more at SOILL.org. Take that. Hey, welcome into another edition of Feldco Football Recap Live with Olin Kreutz and Tommy Waddle. I'm David Kaplan. Bears 35-16 victors over the Jacksonville Jaguars in jolly old London, England. We'll get right into it, guys. Our Four Seasons game recap, and we've got to start with the play of the quarterback because I was telling both of you, and I know I had a long call with Olin. I said, I don't know how to feel. I really don't. I've never seen a Bears quarterback look like this, Olin.
Now, I know that we have to say things like that, but Jay Cutler's had games like that, Jim Miller, but not a young quarterback like this, right? That the arm talent, what he's looked like, what everyone thinks he can be, the promise he's showing, right? At the line of scrimmage, checking in the toss plays, run plays, pass plays, spread the formation, attack the defense with your receivers, hit Keenan Allen on the back shoulder. Really nice football he's playing. Even the slant, I'm sure Tom will talk about it later, but at the end of the game it's a high-level throw with that arm that we saw coming out of college. But the thing that impresses me the most, being a former offensive lineman, is things like end of the quarter. I've seen a lot of quarterbacks could care less about the freeze play, about trying to get someone to jump off sides. He's all into it, man. He's into trying to get them to jump off sides, even when they're not biting. He puts the guy in motion and tries again. I see guys who don't even have time for that, and those guys don't do well. This guy now, guys, something like that, something that small, that he cares about the freeze play, that he cares about executing that play correctly. We talked about a couple weeks ago on this show, we talked about he's almost too coachable. You can see it even there. He's trying to do, and to explain to the people watching, the freeze plays at the end of the half when you're trying to draw somebody off sides. And everyone knows you're not going to snap the ball. And still, he's doing it at a high level. Every detail is correct, and he's trying to execute it correctly, Tom. To me, very impressed by the way he's trying. Not everything's right, but the way he's trying to play quarterback.
Yeah, Olin, he wants to be great, and that's what you want your leader to be. You know, there was a statement earlier in the week, and they were goofing around at one of the press conferences in London, and, you know, DJ Moore said he's bossy. You know, and I know DJ was joking. I think he's a fantastic leader is what it is. You call it bossy. I call it being a leader for a guy who's as talented as he is, who's got a high football IQ, and he's really mature. And then when you put it all together, I sent Cap a text today after watching the All-22. And look, I know he threw for 226 yards. There have been plenty of Bears quarterbacks who have thrown for more yards. He threw 4 touchdown passes. I know Mitch Trubisky had a 5 touchdown pass performance.
Make that 6.
Who did? Well, Mitch had 6. Okay, he had 6. Whatever.
You can't correct after you came in saying you've never seen a performance like that.
No,
you're disqualified. You're disqualified.
I did not say that, Olin. I said I've never seen a Bears quarterback look like that, and I will stand by that. Jay never looked like he had big games.
Yeah,
nobody looked like this.
And dare I step into the same arena and say, like, I'm not sure I've seen a cleaner game or a more tactically sound game. You know, what was he, 23 of 29, and one of them was an inexcusable interception. That's a horrible play. I think of the other
Oh, I thought we forgot about that the way we were talking.
No,
I thought
that was off. That was off. And you're going to get away with that against the Jags. You won't get away with that against the Vikings. Totally understand that. But Olin, I was so impressed with his command of the situation, his accuracy. You talked about a slant. You know, there were several slants that he threw that were spot on. They were in between the numbers. He was clean. He was accurate. He was in charge. It was fun to watch, you know, and give credit where credit is due. The offensive line was good enough for him to go out there and do what he needed to do. They were good enough for them to establish the run and stay committed to running the football. But there were some throws out there that Caleb made that only, you know, a couple of dudes will make. And his overall kind of poise and approach to the game it makes you very optimistic. That's for damn sure.
Ola, what did you think of the offensive line overhaul, which we're seeing? We get more Matt Pryor. Nate Davis did not even dress for the game. And Eberflus, the head coach, Matt Eberflus, said he was really good and he was positive and he understood. But, man, $10 million to sit up in the press box, that's a big statement, isn't it?
It is a big statement. I'm going to tell you right now, if I'm the head football coach of a football team and I don't give somebody a jersey, I don't want them to feel good. I don't want them to be positive. If you don't give me my jersey, there's going to be problems on a Sunday morning. I promise you that much. One time they announced Bob Wiley, my second year, I was battling Casey Wigman for the job. And Bob Wiley said Casey was going to – and Casey is a great football player. But it's just the way I felt about it. He said Casey was going to start at center. I left the room and slammed the door. Well, nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. Call it a bad team and call it what you want, but I want guys who want to play, man. I want someone, when you tell them your bench, I want them to be angry. I don't want them to be happy about it. I don't want good teammates who are on the bench, right? I want guys who are pissed off, especially when you're supposed to be a starter for $10 million. So just that comment rubs me in the wrong way. As far as the offensive line, Pryor has stepped up. I like the fact that we talked about on this show that on short yardage situations, he's now putting his hand on the ground. Him and Darnell Wright, their double team, got good movement against the Jaguars, and we all know who they're playing. But as Tom put it perfectly, give credit where credit is due. They are playing good football. Interesting, during the game, they struggled. You guys saw in that first couple third downs, right? They gave up a sack. They went away from the silent cadence, right? They were on silent count, and the Jaguars were jumping it. And because the crowd was more pro-Chicago Bears, they weren't away stadium. They went back to their cadence. Now they're going to have to go on the road again. And you guys remember how they struggled on the road with the silent count. So they got to get better at that in this break right here, in this bye week. They went away from it during that game in London because their O-line wasn't blocking well with silent count. But as far as the O-line goes, man, I mean, Darnell Wright cleaned it up immediately. I thought he was using a little bit more of a jump set, a creep set to slow the guy down. The offensive line played well. Tevin Jenkins, when he's playing, when he's out there, man, he plays at a high level. He had a good game. Pryor's done a nice job. That offensive line, like you said, with Swift, they're getting the run game going, protecting Caleb Williams. And then Caleb, man, he is getting the ball out, right? He gets the ball out fast. Kurt Warner did a nice thing where he showed how fast the ball was coming out. And then, guys, as you guys know, when somebody will hurt you with your legs, that kills the pass rush. They got to keep him in the pocket. And at the end of the half, he hurt them with his legs for, I think, 40-something yards on that 2-minute drive. And now they must rush him, right? They don't really rush him anymore. I remember when I played with Drew Brees, I wasn't doing much. They wouldn't rush him. The ball was coming out so fast. So Caleb is getting the ball out fast and using his legs to hurt the defense, which helps the pass rush.
You know, it's funny, too, guys, because, you can see the progress. Go back to the Rams game. Caleb threw for 156 yards. There was no real vertical element to their passing game, but he played clean. There were no turnovers, and that was step one. Step two was in my opinion, against the Carolina Panthers, played really clean, but then added the vertical element to the passing game. So now we got something cooking. Step three is when, as Olin described, not only do you have a clean game from your quarterback, again, the interception can't happen, obviously a bad play, but for the most part, it's a really clean game. The vertical element is there. And now, like Olin said, now he's comfortable with his legs to either get outside the pocket, buy himself some time to throw, or to actually tuck and run. He had over 50 yards rushing. When you add that type of incremental improvement, you put so much stress on a defense. Like Olin said, early on, you saw Jacksonville's rush actually get there a little bit. after a while, I do agree with their safety, Cisco. I thought there was a little bit of quit in them in the second half. But even so, with that said, when you have to also defend a quarterback who can tuck and run, boy, that's a weapon that he's never going to be Justin. Don't get me wrong. But he's good enough tucking and running that he's a threat that it has to be accounted for by an opposing defense.
By the way, Olin mentioned that you said when Casey Wegman was going to start, you were not happy and you don't want to hear that. Rick Sutcliffe was telling me when he was with the Dodgers before he came to the Cubs, he said, I'm with the Dodgers. I think I've got this rotation locked in spring training. They call him in. We're sending you down, and we need you to go down and do things the right way. And he said, I stood up. I flipped over Tommy Lasorda's desk. I told him to go F himself, and I walked out of the room and slammed the door.
Love it. But all I'm saying is it doesn't mean you don't go back and work your practice. I'm going to go back and work for my job. Correct. But I am not happy about that, man. Now, I remember Barry Minner trying to pay me money not to hit him in practice. That's how hard I would go when I wasn't a starter. Because I'm gonna make you pay. If you don't start me, I'm gonna make scout team hell on you, right? Like that's just I don't like hearing that somebody was happy and in good spirits and he's not playing.
That's awesome. That is absolutely phenomenal. Let's go to our Caleb Williams Winging It, brought to you by our great friends at Hooters, and we'll be at Hooters again on the 29th. We'll be out in Downers Grove. But here are Caleb Williams' numbers. 23 of 29, as Tommy said earlier, 226, 4 touchdowns, a pick. He ran for 56 yards, and I thought he was just locked in that play call, and we'll get to our play of the game a little later, but the one with the fake screen left with Keenan Allen in motion, the fake screen right, and then boom, right down the middle to Cole Kmet, who shook a tackler and dove for the end zone. I thought that was one of the more creative play calls I've seen. Maybe you guys were part of a play like that. I don't remember the Bears doing that.
You know what, Cap? It works because you're connecting plays. It's like what the 49ers do. It's what some of the better teams do. When you run that screen to the left in the same formation, now they got to account for it. When you fake it left and then run the screen to the right, now you got to account for that. When you fake it to the left, then fake it to the right, and then hit your tight end, like I don't know how you all feel about it, but I think it's a sign that the coordinator's starting to feel more comfortable with what he has to work with. But I love watching coordinators and offensive-minded coaches try to connect plays over the course of time, and I just thought it was an excellent call and excellent execution.
And by the way, Olin, that is our play of the game. That first play, I don't know which one you guys would have picked. I picked that one, brought to you by Dr. Pepper. They're an American original, just like our Bears. Pleasing your taste buds since 1885. Grab an ice cold, refreshing Dr. Pepper today at a McDonald's near you. What did you think of that play call, the first touchdown?
I just realized that this show's not a democracy. It's good to know. It's good to know that, you wear the shirt, you pick the play, Cap, whatever you want. You know what I mean? But, orbit motion by Keenan Allen, fake that, or that little swing pass and then fake the screen and hit Cole Kmet. The thing about that is you got to trust your young quarterback because the end goes unblocked. You got to trust that he's going to get faked by the pump and then go back down the middle of the field. Really nice play design, worked really well. And I don't want to underestimate, like everyone's comfortable all of a sudden. I think a lot of it has to do, guys, with Keenan Allen being back. I think he has settled a lot of things down. I think they execute their plan now with him in the slot, with him doing all the little things. Watch every time they get in trouble or need a play, watch who shows up. Watch who shows up with a catch or some kind of orbit fake motion. Like you fake a motion to Keenan Allen and then Swift and hit Cole Kmet. There's just a lot of guys to guard on that field right now.
I would say this, that would not have been my play of the game. And I have a receiver bias for sure. And I'm going to highlight the guy that Olin just mentioned. The back shoulder throw, the first touchdown pass that Keenan had, that's a play. You know what? When I was watching that, I was sitting next to my son-in-law, and I said to him, that's Aaron Rodgers to Davante Adams. That's exactly what I said to him. I said, that's a throw that Aaron Rodgers would make to Davante Adams after working together for X number of years. If you watch that play from behind, that ball is out of Caleb Williams' hand. before Keenan Allen turns. Like you see the full back of his jersey, 13 and Allen, and he throws it. He has to throw it away from the inside defender and hard enough so that the outside defender can't get to it. And he has to trust that Keenan, as soon as he gets to a certain spot, is going to turn and look for the ball. And you won't find a better throw and catch and play design. And the fact that it's a rookie quarterback doing it, I echo what Olin said. That ball isn't thrown to Rome or to DJ. That ball's thrown to Keenan because, Keenan has been there and done that. But that was one of those beautiful plays that's football porn right there, guys. It really is.
It really, and when he throws it to Keenan, like Tom is saying, that ball comes out.
Yeah.
Like he has total trust and faith that he's going to be where he thinks he's going to be. And that ball's coming out before Keenan's out of his break. So I just really, when you really look at that film, one guy who I'd say, man, if they took him out, the offense would look different. It'd be Keenan Allen.
I'll say this too, Olin. I think watching him, he's running his routes faster. He's got his burst back a little bit. I think watching him early, you could tell he was dealing with something like his heel or whatever it was. And then when he came back the first game, even against, I think, the Panthers, you could see it a little bit. I thought he looked faster. He looked quicker. He looked more like his Charger self in this game. And maybe he just physically feels better.
Mm-hmm. So, Olin, if you were picking the play of the game, Tommy would have picked that Keenan Allen throw. Is that the one you'd have picked as well?
I like TJ Edwards punching the ball out, right to start that second half. I thought that was a big play by him. The defense, obviously, they're so good, man. There's a very, very Coach Eberflus. We talked on this show many times how they're elite. I love the way they buy into what he preaches. They talk about things at press conferences, and they do it in games, right? They talked about they looked at their defense and thought they haven't been getting enough fumbles and enough fumble recoveries, and immediately they're all punching at the ball. Obviously, shout out to my exterior Peanut Tillman, but the Peanut punch was there, and I thought that play really sealed the game for Chicago Bears. It's fun too, right? Like we talk about this team, why they're so fun. I mean, there's a Vider product in Cole Kmet, a guy who grew up here, right? Scores a touchdown. They come out of the half. TJ Edwards, another Illinois product, punches it out, right? So it's just the team was fun to watch. Obviously, they're in London.
In terms of Cole having to go in and snap, Coach Eberflus said, we told him after he scored, hey, you got to go in. Scott got hurt. He goes, Tyler Scott? He's like, no, Scott Daly. You got to snap. And his response was, oh, shit. But he got it there. They did not punt the rest of the way. Coach Eberflus told us on ESPN 1000. He said, yeah, we decided we'll go with just the shorter snap. For a guy who's done it at the Hall of Fame level that you performed at, how difficult is that to throw him into there? Touchdown, go snap.
Now, listen I tried long snapping like twice in my whole career. I did try me at Washington, and everybody would ask me, the scouts when they came, do you also long snap? And everybody would tell you, man, Olin, the more you can do, you should try to do that. If you can snap and long snap, and I say, look, if I got a long snap, I'll probably go work construction somewhere, drink beer, and tell you how great I would have been, right? Because listen, long snapping is not like Pat Manley, man. Guys like that, Cole Kmet, credit to him. I heard the story about how his dad said that learn how to long snap. Credit to him for sticking with it, and it came out, and he used it, man. And he's a guy who's a really good NFL tight end. But long snapping is not an easy thing to do. So, no, it was never for me. If I couldn't be a center, Lord knows what I would have done.
It's funny, too. Back in the day, there was no rule back in the leather helmet days where I played. I don't think there was any rule that you couldn't put someone over the head of the center. So, God, thank God now that is a rule because it would make life so much more difficult on somebody that would have to step in like Cole. But he did a brilliant job, and he's one of these guys that you want him on your team. Like he's a vibe dude. He's a hell of a player, and he's one of your leaders. He's a guy you want on your team for sure.
And we are giving this. Go ahead, Olin.
Go ahead. No, I was just gonna say, like you hear the stories. It's interesting always who everyone thinks is a leader and who comes out as a leader. But you hear the stories about Cole Kmet telling Caleb to recall the play calls in the huddle, right? So he's become a key cog in that locker room. And credit Ryan Post for signing him when no one really thought, gosh, you're going to give the guy all that money right now. He hasn't done much, but there's a guy who's added value to this football team. It's been unbelievable to watch his growth in his career.
That is our special teams play of the game, brought to you by Special Olympics Illinois. When voices tell us you can't or you won't, we simply say, I did. Special Olympics Illinois. So I did. Learn more at SOILL.org. In terms of Trevor Lawrence, what was your guys' feelings on him? He had the generational tag when he came out of Clemson. He was the number one pick by the Jacksonville Jaguars. He had 1 year with Urban Meyer, and now he's been with Doug Peterson, and he hasn't looked great. What did you guys think of Trevor Lawrence in the game?
I thought that there were moments when he looked good. I don't think Trevor's been nearly as good as I expected him to be. He hasn't been consistently as good as I expected. He struggled with turnovers. I mean, I think he committed his 63rd turnover since he joined the league in 2021, and that's the most in all of football. And look, the most important thing you can do offensively is take care of the ball. So that is obviously something that has hurt him over the course of time. There's a lot of talent there, but at the end of the day, talents and potential gets guys fired unless it turns into production. So just not as good as I thought he'd be, Cap, in this game and overall, to be honest.
Olin?
Yeah, and quarterback talent and potential gets everybody fired in a building. So, watching him play, obviously there was that first drive. They looked really good, and Davis dropped the touchdown in the end zone. It just looks to me like like we talked about with Caleb, with Keenan Allen, the ball comes out before he's out of his break. It looks like for some reason Lawrence still got to see guys come open, right, in the NFL. That's really hard to do. And he missed just diagnosing plays at the line of scrimmage. Kyler Gordon really was hiding his blitzes from him early on. He couldn't read them. He was making the bad call on run plays. I think everybody saw when he pointed at the sideline like Kyler Gordon, like, I didn't know he was coming. So that's what we talk about when we talk about Caleb Williams being so impressed with him playing quarterback. On the other side, you're not really impressed with the level Lawrence is playing at for a number one pick this far into his career. The Chicago Bears don't run a lot of blitzes, guys. I mean, you can almost see him coming. Eberflus is really a scheme guy. They bring things, they overwhelm you with being really good at what they do. Lawrence missed a lot of those blitzes, man, and checked runs right into Kyler Gordon blitzing in the B gap. Missed that touchdown throw. I think they ran a wheel, perfectly called play by Doug Peterson down the sideline. He underthrew it. He even looked disappointed with himself. So this late in his career, missing a scheme shot, missing blitzes, just something you just don't want to see from a number one pick.
By the way, Mark Gauthier said, I attended the game at Tottenham Stadium. It was at least 75% Bears. The rest split between the Jags and the 30 other teams. It was a true home game. So fun to see my boyhood Bears fan since 1965. Mark, thanks, man. That crowd was awesome for the Bears there, wasn't it?
The Bears fans travel, as Tom knows.
I think, Olin, you made a great point, too. Like, this offensive line isn't going to be a top-end offensive line. And to play at home or play in front of a crowd that is behind you, I think is an enormous advantage for them. And I think it's a great point that you made that when they go on the road, there's a reason why, guys, that it's harder to play on the road. There's a reason why this team has struggled on the road, especially if their offensive line is one of their Achilles heels. So to see Bears fans travel is great, but to see them also, dominate the number of tickets that were purchased, I think there's a tactical advantage that Olin described earlier as well.
Yeah, Bears fans always travel, Cap. You know that. Arizona, they take over stadiums. Wherever you go, the 85 Bears obviously have a big deal to do with that, right? Like, there's so many Bears fans out there because the Super Bowl shuffle, because how great that team was. People love the Chicago Bears, and you could hear the stadium. And like Tom's talking about, they were in silent cadence and they struggled the first two drives. Then they went to the regular cadence. The two things that we will see when they go on the road. We know defense travels. will their run game travel too? Right, their run game is going to need to travel with them.
Okay, I got to ask you guys, because I asked Coach Eberflus about it, and then he was actually more open with the media again later in the day. So Stacey Dale said she talked to Mercedes Lewis and to DJ Moore, and these guys said, yeah, we talked to Coach Waldron, and we decided to go to a scripted first 15 plays. Now, I didn't play in the NFL like you guys. I didn't play at Washington or BC. I played little old Division III. We had a scripted 15. I heard Olin on the score. I heard Tommy on ESPN 1000. Do you guys believe that they were not scripting plays until they had a meeting with the leadership team? Is that crazy?
Are you allowed to say the score?
That's where you work.
100%. Wars.
Cap, I honestly thought Stacey Dale's got bad information or stuff. I don't know what Coach Eberflus has said about it. It'd be interesting to see what Coach Waldron had said about it. I mean, for me, Fridays I'd get the first 15. I kind of knew how the offensive coordinator wanted to attack the defense. I knew what we were looking for. I knew what we wanted to show. You know, I would study my first 15 at night, match it to film. Saturday morning, walk through it, right? We walked through the first 15 Saturday morning, go to my hotel room, go over the first 15 again, wake up in the morning, go over the first 15 again. I mean, it was pretty important, I thought, for me. I'm sure they were doing something like that. Most people have plays and stuff they go over. I was honestly shocked when I heard that.
Yeah, I don't know that, again, this was early. I don't know that we specifically just stayed to the first 15. Like, you do have to be able to adjust. If whatever you were trying to do on the first play of the game doesn't work, and now you're in 2nd and 12, like, maybe I had this play designed and thinking that we were going to gain a couple of yards. Now I got to change, what I'm trying to do. Mm-hmm. I think you have to be, I felt back in the day, you had to be able to adjust. But like Olin said, you know what you were trying to do. Okay, in the first drive or the first couple of drives, this is what we want to establish. And what we want to do is also have them define what they're going to try and do. So you may even watch around the league. You may watch teams do what they do. I mean, I think, again, I mentioned Shanahan all the time. I wouldn't be shocked if he does shit early in games. Obviously you want to be positive, but like, just he'll show you something just to make sure he knows what you're going to do. If I do this again, and set plays up that he's going to run, in the second, late in the second or third quarter. So, there's a method to everybody's madness. There's no doubt about that. We definitely walked into games knowing what we wanted to do. If things go exactly the way you want, then it's easier I believe, to stay on script. If you come out, you shit your pants, early on, you're going to have to adjust things, So it's hard to go, oh my God, this is what we were going to do. But yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody comes in and wings it. I don't think that anybody.
Yeah, Coach Eberflus told us all that on the radio. He told me and Jonathan Hood, he goes, I think it's a little overblown what's being reported. He said we had concepts, and I think they were trying to simplify things for Caleb. And then when the leadership group got to Waldron, he said, hey, in Seattle, we always had a scripted first 15. If you guys feel like you can handle it, that's what we're doing from now on. So,
if you look at like the Panthers game, right, the first 15, everyone's so excited about. They threw the out to Keenan Allen. J.C. Horn almost took it to the house. So that was their first play of the game. And if Keenan Allen doesn't knock it out of J.C. Horn's hands, it's a touchdown. So, look, you kind of figured that they had a plan. I'm glad the first 15 is working for them now. As Tom showed you, you put formations out there. You see the personnel. You know how they're going to play certain people. Like when we had Greg Olsen, were they going to play him as a tight end or were they going to play him as a wide receiver? That's something you're looking for in your first 15.
Yes.
All right, we're going to take our time out. We'll come back. We got a lot more to get to the guys' opinions, and then the Bears have the bye week. I want to know how those guys handle their bye week. It's all coming up next.
Tom didn't have a bye week. In practice.
Right. Feldco football recap live.
4 days off.
Be right.
Hey, Dad, we're running low.
We'll be all right.
What is going on here?
Insulation? I'm chilly.
I can't help you with a decoration, but I can help you replace these windows fast.
Right now, buy one window and you'll get one free. Plus, no interest until 2025. And we'll get it done Feldco fast.
Buy one window, get one free, and soon. Hurry. Call now.
Call 866 for Feldco.
Apt. For the best appliances for football season, shop at Apt. Pleasing people since 1936. Find them at apt.com. Four Seasons, heating, plumbing, air conditioning, and electric. For all the right reasons, Four Seasons. Join the Illinois Tollway at Contracting with Government, a roadmap for business opportunities. Drive your business forward with the Illinois Tollway. All right, our Apt player of the game, apt.com is their website. Got to go with Caleb Williams. Not sure if Tommy and Olin agree with me. Maybe Keenan Allen. He had a really good game. Obviously, the Bears dominated the Jags, but I picked Caleb Williams as our Apt player of the game. And then our Chevy drive of the game was the Keenan Allen touchdown after the fumble at the start of the second half on a peanut punch from Evan Ingram out of his hands. 7 plays, 41 yards, 3:18 off the clock. Again, after the Jaguars fumble and Keenan Allen catches the touchdown that led to the Bears having a tea party in the end zone, which I thought was super cool as well. Were you guys ever part of orchestrating a celebration in the end zone, or they didn't allow it, or they didn't have that stuff in the NFL when you guys were playing? I think they did when Olin was, right?
Well, back in the day for us, like, first of all, we didn't get in the end zone very often. But we were always told the old, act like you've been there. Like, so we didn't do it. Look, I'm all for it. When you get there, it's hard to get there. When you get there, if you want to celebrate, do whatever you want. Celebrate your ass off. I'm cool with that. I'm not one of these, these old, I am an old curmudgeon, but I'm not old and curmudgeon-y with that. I think you should celebrate it if you want. That was not something we did, though.
Olin?
It's encouraged by the NFL now, right? I think these team celebrations, and they have a celebration camera, don't they? So
right.
These guys come over, just got no problem with people having fun after a touchdown. Now, for me, I realized pretty early when they, receivers like Tom them scored touchdowns, you would run down there and they'd run away from you. So I just go to the sideline. I wasn't on field goal. I was too small, and I drink water. I would, you go down there and try to run and celebrate with them, and you're chasing them all over the place. And basically, you just look like a fat idiot, right? So I'm like, I'm done with this, man. I'm going to the sideline. I'll have some water. I'll wait for the next play. But like you're saying, Cap, the tea party was pretty cool. And the way they played that game, and just, it was a fun Bears game to watch, to be honest.
Yeah, it's funny how baseball, you bat flipped, everyone said, what a hot dog. Now they encourage bat flips. Like Olin said, they encourage you to do this stuff.
Look, like Olin knows this better than anybody. This is a really hard profession. It's hard to be successful at it. There's only a few people that can do what you guys do. It's physically taxing. It wears your ass out. It will take years off of your life. I loved it dearly. I would never change anything about it. When you do accomplish the goals that you set out to accomplish, I think it's fabulous that you celebrate. You should celebrate. You work your ass off all week long to try to make these plays work. And when they do work and you get in the end zone, you know what? You should go out there and celebrate your success for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
Let's talk about DeAndre Swift. He struggled the first 2 weeks of the season, and since then, he's been magnificent, man. I mean, magnificent. Field Yates from ESPN, my good friend, sent me a text with all his numbers over the last 3 weeks. He's top 3 or 4 in every category that you would grade a running back on. 17 carries, 91 yards, a tutty, 4 catches, 28 yards. What did you guys think? Olin, I'll start with you. What did you think of how DeAndre Swift has impacted this football team?
Yeah, I think we talked about how they're starting to really learn each other and what gets them going. And we talked about maybe Swift gets going off of screens and swing passes and get him involved in a pass game, and the run game gets going. And then we heard Coach Eberflus talk about getting him to run downhill, getting him to hit that line of scrimmage harder. Even that Jaguars game in the first series, they gave him like a toss left, and he danced a little too much. He corrected that right away, though, and started getting downhill again. He has played at a high level. He's looked like versus, teams that you wouldn't say are the greatest defenses out there. He's overwhelmed them with his athleticism, and his speed in space has been really impressive to watch.
Yeah, Cap, I give credit where credit is due. I give credit to the offensive line. They've done a nice job. When you step up in class, it gets harder. So you have to be able, as Olin says, when you face a defense and the run is designed to go here, you got to hit it. You got to go there. I think they've really found their rhythm in the screen game. I thought they were disjointed and discombobulated early in the season. I think they've done a much better job getting that going. I think he is at his best when he's in space. I don't think he's I don't think he's a guy that's going to hammer the ball. That's just not his style. He's not Derrick Henry, but he's a really good player, and he's going to get the bulk of the carries and the bulk of the opportunities because he's their guy. So you can't argue with his production for sure. It's going to get harder as time goes on. When you face different fronts, it's going to get harder for the offensive line. It's going to get harder for the back. So I think at that point you've got to make sure that everyone's on the same page and your attention to detail is spot on. And we'll see. But I love the fact, guys, that they have stayed committed to running the football. I think in the last 3 weeks, they're averaging 32 carries per game, 32 rushing attempts per game. And I think that even when it's not working, when you're not getting 5.5 yards per carry, it's still important to run it. So I love their commitment. I love their balance the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, and Cap, 50% of the teams they've played, 3 of the teams they played are the 3 worst run defenses in the league. So, you're going to run the ball against these teams, and you're winning games. Your defense is getting you the ball back, and this offensive line, they got to keep them moving downhill and run blocking.
When they had the bye week come into the NFL, Olin, I think if I'm correct, you had it your whole career. Tommy, it entered the league after you were already probably a year or two in.
Yeah, I was part of the group that we had 2 buys one year. So you had 2 weeks off, and that only lasted 1 year. They got rid of it, but because it was only a 16-game season. But we really didn't have and again, I don't fault anyone, and I'm not sitting here telling you that you were treated poorly, whatever the case. It just was business, and even on the bye week, you practice Wednesday, you practice Thursday. They may give you Friday off, but it was a normal week for us. You just didn't play on Sunday, and
you weren't flying to Mexico like the guys are doing now.
First of all, I couldn't afford to fly to Mexico because I was, when my first year, I was making $1,000 a week on the practice squad, and I got jacked up to the regular roster. And my first year in the National Football League, I made $41,000. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. I thought I was rich. But $41,000, even back in 1989, does not allow you to casually fly to Mexico for a week just on a whim, my brothers.
That's pretty good.
Drive maybe, but not fly.
Olin, how did you hit? You have children, you have a wife, but did you take time? You and Wendy travel. What did you do during your bye, or were you in there lifting weights and watching film?
No. I was always into football. Once the season started, I thought we had plenty enough time in the off season to do whatever we want. I remember when I first started playing, I didn't have Josh to, 5-6 years into the NFL. So I'd always go to Hawaii after the season. I was in Hawaii for 3 or 4 months. So I usually just waited for that. I always felt, and some guys needed a break during their bye week, but we didn't have the whole week before, right? We had Saturday and Sunday, usually we practice all the way to Friday. So we had Saturday, Sunday off. You only had 2 days. So I just stay here and relax. And I just always figured that, and sometimes guys, if you didn't make the playoffs, you got January, February, March off. Like, I don't know how much more vacation you need as an NFL player, right? I mean,
Right.
you don't. It's a hard job, but it's not like I always tell people, football now, you're home more than most other people, even other athletes, right? Because you fly in the games, you fly right home. So like I always thought that when season started, I could watch a little film and lift a little more weights.
I was just going to say, I mean, my guess is this is an opportunity for the big guys to kind of get in the weight room if you're healthy. Like, you don't want to compromise yourself, but maybe try to get some of that. I know it's a short period of time, but maintain that strength, or maybe get some of that strength back when you've got that moment, and get on that iPad. Really, this team is in a really good spot. They find themselves at 4-2. Like, the bulk of their difficult work is going to happen in the back end, but they've put themselves in a really good position. This game against the Commanders coming out of the bye is going to be really important. It really is. So this would be a great opportunity for a lot of these guys to do a little extra film work. Nobody's asking you to go out there. I don't even think they're going to practice, but maybe spend an hour or two extra a day to, watching film and trying to get some sort of tactical edge, because this game could be the difference between you sneaking into the postseason or not sneaking into the postseason. All these games could be. So, just if you're not, take a rest if that's what you need to do, but make sure that you're sharp mentally and you're watching as much film as you can.
And
think about
that game was moved, by the way, from noon to 3:25.
Cap, think about what Tom's talking about. Like, he's talking about 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
You'll be done by 10 o'clock. Even if you just did that, you're done by 10 a.m. And you could do it in Mexico, right? You could nowadays, like Tom's talking about with their iPad, they can do all that work wherever they are. They don't have to be here doing that work, right? You can pull over the film, you can Zoom with people, you can do whatever you want nowadays and get your work in. They got weight rooms and stuff in Mexico to work out wherever you want to go. If you do your work in the morning, but like Tom is saying, man, I mean, there's film on the Commanders. Get a jump start on them. Watch definitely. Tony White used to always tell us, you watch yourself is the most important thing to do.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Did you see this this comment, Tom? Erica Blanco says, Tom, some of the hits you took after the catches you made back then, you should have made 41,000 a catch.
I appreciate it. That shit wasn't going to happen. So, but I appreciate it. You know what I was just going to say to what Olin said. Like, I was really so hard on myself, and I would watch film of everyone else, but I would also watch film of me, not because, I felt great about me, but because I wanted to be better at what I was doing. What was I doing wrong, or what was I doing right that I could accentuate? What was, where could I improve against the technique that I was facing? So as much as I watched the opponent, Cap, I would also watch myself and self-scout every single week. But certainly if you had the bye, this is an opportunity to spend, a few extra hours watching all 6 games and say, where can I get better? Where was I good? Where was I bad? Where can I accentuate what I did, and where can I improve on the other stuff?
Well, I feel like I have the 2 best analysts on this show that I could possibly have in Tommy and Olin. And for people out there that don't realize this, both guys pour over the film, and whether I'm texting with Tommy or texting with Olin or on the phone, I learn things, and then you guys bring them to this show. It's amazing. But to watch the commitment level, and you guys are both retired, the commitment level to watching film is amazing. So I appreciate the effort you guys put in. It's incredible.
I'm not buying this, Tom. I'm not buying that whole segment he just did right there. I'm not buying any of that nonsense he just threw at me, man. That's poison. That honey is poison. I don't buy any of that. You were just telling Alex Brown that Hooters, from what I understand, that he was the best. That he was the best analyst you ever worked with.
Olin, what we had was we almost had a physical confrontation because Cap was saying how much he appreciated the Bears using a 4th round pick on a punter, and Alex was like, "Hey, brother, I was a 4th-round pick, and I'm like 4th or 5th all time in sacks for the league.
No, the way it went down, I said, Alex goes, you couldn't have drafted another offensive lineman there? And I said, what kind of a player are you really going to find in the 4th round? And Alex goes, what about me?
Oh, no. Hey, man, Alex, if you ask Alex, he'll give you every stat of his, man.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, good football player, good teammate. I mean, really, that's funny. Cap.
Listen, Cap, what else do I have to do? At this point, all my kids are gone. They're not kids anymore. They're adults. I do have a grandson in the house, but and I enjoy watching film now because these days you see a lot of good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The last couple of years, it's like watching a train wreck. So, I mean, these are more enjoyable film sessions. I'm not fully expecting it to all be, sunshine and balloons. There are going to be some valleys, but right now, you've got to enjoy what you've seen the last couple of weeks.
All right, our look ahead, brought to you by the great people over at the Illinois Tollway. I would like your guys' thoughts on what you're seeing in the division. We have Detroit loses their best player in Aiden Hutchinson. I think he's the best player on their team, certainly their best defender. And you got Green Bay rolling along. You got Minnesota 5-0. So give me your guys' breakdown quickly of the NFC North.
I was just going to say that Penei Sewell probably has an argument there for the Lions, but
He's good.
They are like, this NFC North is tough, man. Good football being played by all the teams. The Lions are still a good football team. Now Aiden Hutchinson, that is a huge loss there. I don't know where they're going to find their pass rush. You could see them making a trade for one of these guys everybody's talking about, right, that the Bears should look at. But the Lions, the Vikings, well-coached team. Flores' defense is unbelievable to watch. And then, man, the Packers, man, they run the hell out of the football and been playing defense. This NFC North is going to be fun to watch coming down the stretch here.
You know what is so cool about the division is like every team is so well coached. Now, I'm not going to,
I'm glad you mentioned Coach Eberflus, man. I think he's done a great job.
He's done a really good job, especially getting that defense ready to go. But if you look across the division, like LaFleur is doing stuff that is fantastic. He's got a young group of wide receivers. He's got a young quarterback who had a great year last year, but just me, I trust LaFleur, but I don't know who he is going to be, Jordan Love, over the course of the next 3 or 4 years. You see what they've done in Minnesota with a quarterback that, many haven't had success with. And then in Detroit, Ben Johnson does, some really creative stuff. I think that I think it starts with very talented teams, but I think when you enhance the picture with some of the really elite coaching that exists in this division, it's really cool to watch. And there's no question it's the best division in football. I think it's the most fun to watch as well. And I think it's a great way to measure yourself against the rest of the league for sure.
Yeah, if you talk about what they can improve on in the bye week and what they should watch film on, it's their run fits.
Yeah.
Their run fits on defense. 2 of the top 5 rushing teams in the NFL are in the NFC North.
Yeah.
The Packers and the Lions, right? And everybody talked about the offense during the Colts game. A lot of people forget that Caleb put the ball in the end zone. The Bears had a chance to get the ball back to Caleb, and they rushed for the first down and ended the game. They ended the game. The Colts offense ended the game on our defense, which is elite. But Quentin Nelson ran a pull outside counter, and they got a first down on our defense, right? So who knows if you get us the ball back there. A lot of people in this town, I know, always forget about what the defense did wrong in games. So I like to watch that just in case people forget.
The interesting thing, losing Aiden Hutchinson, such a terrible, terrible injury. And he's supposed to be the best teammate. He's great in the community. You just hate to see. I know how hard guys work. You see it. And to see a guy go down in that way and no timetable for his return. What does that do, in your guys' opinion, to the Lions? I mean, it's a hell of a football player.
Yeah, I think that I heard some people talking, and listen, we all talk in hyperbole these days. I thought there were some guys talking about how that they were a Super Bowl caliber team. Now they're not. I still wouldn't write off the Lions. I think they will find Brad Holmes, I believe, is their general manager, who's done a fabulous job putting that team together. I think they're in win now mode. So I think they're going to do everything they can to find somebody to fit in there. I think it hurts them. I think it really does. But they're I go back to, they're so well coached that you can't replace Aiden Hutchinson, but maybe you can find a way, strategically to try to lessen the blow with what you're doing, maybe on both sides of the ball. So, their defense has a challenge right now. There's no way that, listen, you're going to face the Commanders in 2 weeks. They're going to be without Jonathan Allen, and Jonathan Allen's not the player that Aiden Hutchinson but
pretty good, kid.
Every team in the league is going to have to find a way to get something done without, one of their better players. Like, I'm hoping now that Tyreek Stevenson and Kyler Gordon come back sooner rather than later, because as deep and as talented as that secondary is, those guys are difference makers. So, it's the nature of the position and nature of the profession rather.
Kyler Gordon, I thought, was having his best football game before he got hurt, and he backed up that outfit he walked into the stadium with, right? So,
man.
But to Tom's point, man, I mean, you can see the Lions right now; they're in win now, so they're going to go after one of these pass rushers and give them the money they want, right? You can see that happen pretty quickly. If you're Detroit Lions, they'd be crazy not to with that football team they got. So we'll see what happens as this goes, but you can't replace Aiden Hutchinson. And sure, everyone knows when you're in the playoffs, when you are trying to get a Super Bowl, you need your closer, right? You need your guy that the music plays and he's getting after the quarterback. Late in the game, it's the quarterback versus the pass rusher who's going to win that battle, usually in the playoffs. So no way they don't miss that guy. It's going to be tough for them to replace him, but if I'm them, I do everything I can. As Ryan Poles went and got Montez Sweat last year. I've heard rumors about Max Crosby. I've heard all kinds of things. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I was just going to say that scares the shit out of me. Like, if that Detroit team would find a way to pry Max Crosby away from the Raiders to bring him in, like he's a local kid. He went to Eastern Michigan as well. So wow, that would be one hell of a Band-Aid for
Reportedly today, Hassan Reddick hired Drew Rosenhaus a few days ago. Reportedly today, he was given permission to seek a trade away from the New York Jets. So that's another name that's out there.
Well, but I think Diana Rossini reported today that deal is written so that by Howie Roseman, if in fact Hassan Reddick is traded inside the NFC or to an NFC team, the compensation is immediately kicked up to a second-round pick. So instead of a fourth-round pick or whatever it was that the Jets gave to the Eagles, if they trade that player inside the NFC, it turns from a 4 to a 2. So that would just make it less likely that you would see Hassan Reddick in the NFC.
If I'm the Lions, it's no problem.
Yeah.
The 2 with the team I got, I need a pass rush, man. I mean, for me, I'm going after it with that football team I got. Did you guys hear Campbell talk about Montgomery? I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Talked about how that's the kind of guy he would love to be teammates with.
Yeah, David Montgomery, man, that guy's a beast. He just lunch pail guy, just goes to work every day. One question I had for the two of you. So Hassan Reddick, I was listening to something on NFL Network tonight. In my car, he said, the analyst said he plays as a stand-up rush edge, and they said it is a major change to ask him to put his hand in the dirt. Do you guys agree with that?
I think it would be a change, but I think on third down he can stand up for whatever defense he wants to stand up for, right? I don't think they're going to force him on those down and distances to put his hand, in nickel cap, they call it nickel when you go against 11 personnel, which is 3 wide receivers, and we see Kyler Gordon come on the field. For Sanborn, that's nickel, right? A lot of teams will play nickel, and their outside linebackers move to end, and they stand up there anyway. So I don't think it'd be a problem. For any team he goes to, I'll say it's Aaron Glenn for the Lions. I'm sure they'd be fine with it.
It's funny, guys. I was excited that they were interested in Matthew Judon early in the season. My guess is that they're not going to be interested. The Bears won't be interested in Hassan Reddick, probably because the price tag for them. I agree with Olin. If you're the Detroit Lions, you pay whatever it is because you're ready to win. You're ready to win now. I think the kid that they traded for from Seattle plays the position kind of like Reddick. Reddick's a better player. The sack totals, Reddick has more sacks than the kid they traded for. But I think that's the extent of their move on that side of the ball. I mean, I think that, if you've watched closely what Ryan Poles has done, they're active in every way, shape, and form, and I love that. But I'd be a little bit surprised if they got really, really active in the defensive pass rushing department on that front.
All right. We do predictions, Tommy and I. The OG gives us his keys, but we don't have a game this week. So, OG, just give me your quick thoughts. Jaden Daniels, what you've seen of him. It'd be a great matchup, him and Caleb Williams, man.
Yeah, I haven't seen a ton of him, to be honest with you. I haven't really watched the Commanders much from afar. Obviously, we all know Nick Allegretti. He went to Illinois. They signed him this year from the Chiefs. He's their left guard. I've watched some of him play. A lot of college concepts by Kingsbury out there, right? A lot of RPOs, quarterback runs. He is dynamite, man. He's fast. He's got a live arm from the film you've seen, from highlights and watching some film. They're doing a really nice job. I think, if I had to guess, I think that the league eventually catches up to everything they're trying to do over there, and he's going to have to play quarterback at some point. But, hey, man, Lamar Jackson does it. A lot of guys do it that way. He's playing really, really good football for a young quarterback. These young quarterbacks are coming in this year, really impressing people. So this matchup between him and Caleb, just happy to be a part of. I know you guys feel, man. We've been doing this for a while. But to get to analyze a game like this is going to be really, really fun. Just the excitement along we have a 2-quarterback battle. So it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah.
Tommy?
I agree. Look, I think, and I look at and I compliment Washington. I think that they have started with a smaller package and they're going to build from it. Whereas compared to what the Bears have done, they threw everything at Caleb and said, we're going to do it all. And if we need to condense it, we'll condense it. So I think the approach has been a little bit different. And I think Olin's right. The history with Cliff Kingsbury is at some point they catch up with you. And I think that the one thing that I'm really impressed with Jaden Daniels is that I think, in fact, if you do have to expand the playbook, I think he's capable of doing it. I think his accuracy is there. I think his skill in the passing game is there. The one thing I'd be concerned about if I was the Washington Commanders is he's built very narrowly, and the number of hits that he will take over the course of an NFL season will be double what he took at LSU. So I would be concerned that physically, and what happens for quarterbacks when you get to the point in the season, and Justin faced it too, when you've taken all that abuse, it takes a little gas out of your ability to throw the ball. Your accuracy isn't what it is. It's just different. It's different. So I'm not surprised they've had success. He's played really, really well. But I feel good about where we're at and what guy we have under center. So the comparison is not important to me.
And Caleb is younger than Jaden. I know they came out the same year. Yeah, but Caleb is younger than Jaden Daniels. So, Jaden has played a lot more football, in college than Caleb has.
Yeah, he played for Herm Edwards over at Arizona State first before he transferred. Guys, have a great bye week. We'll be at Hooters in 2 weeks out in Downers Grove. And OG, best of luck to the Carmel football team, man.
We need it, man. We need it. Not playing good football right now. Trying to figure it out on our end. We need a first 15. I'm gonna talk to Rashid and J Matt. Wow. We're gonna have a meeting. We're gonna have a meeting. Talk to each other. Get things right. Cap, I'll be waiting on my sweater, please. XX.
You got it right there. Take that. You guys have a great rest of your night. I appreciate you both being here. You're the
You
best.
Thank you, guys.
All right, for Olin, for Tommy, I'm Cap. Again, please do not forget, you do not have to be a big construction firm to do business with the Illinois Tollway. If you're the owner of a small, diverse, or veteran business and are looking for an opportunity to grow, now is your chance. Join the Illinois Tollway at Contracting with Government, a roadmap for business opportunities. The event is Friday, November 8th, 10 to 2 at the South Shore Cultural Center. So you can work with the Illinois Tollway, no matter how small a business you might have. For Olin, for Tommy, for our great crew, I'm David Kaplan. See you next 2 weeks. Take that.
Hey, Dad, we're running low.
We'll be all right.
What is going on here?
Insulation? I'm chilly.
I can't help you with a decoration, but I can help you replace these windows fast.
Right now, buy one window and you'll get one free. Plus, no interest until 2025. And we'll get it done Feldco fast.
Buy one window, get one free, and soon. Hurry. Call now.
Call 866 for Feldco.
Feldco Football Recap Live is brought to you by Feldco. For quality windows, siding, and doors, call 866-4FELDCO, Chicago's home renewal experts. Your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealers, the official truck partner of the Chicago Bears. Hooters. At Hooters, originality isn't just one thing, it's everything. World-famous wings and more, served up by the iconic Hooters girl. Hooters, always original. Dr. Pepper, an American original, just like our Chicago Bears. Grab an ice-cold, refreshing Dr. Pepper today at a McDonald's near you. Special Olympics Illinois. Special Olympics Illinois, so I did. Learn more at SOILL.org. Apt. For the best appliances for football season, shop at Apt. Pleasing people since 1936. Find them at apt.com. 4 Seasons, heating, plumbing, air conditioning, and electric. For all the right reasons, 4 Seasons. Join the Illinois Tollway at Contracting with Government, a roadmap for business opportunities. Drive your business forward with the Illinois Tollway.
Some days, you've got big things to care about. Like that. And that. Luckily, the Whirlpool Smart Range automatically updates itself with features like Air Fry. So you can worry less about keeping up with the latest tech and care more about keeping up with the latest trends. Say cheese. Everyday care, Whirlpool.
To see the full line of Whirlpool appliances, shop at Apt. Pleasing people since 1936.